Hey, what's up, everybody? Have you ever wondered what the best planner for entrepreneurs is? Well, me too. So I set out to find the best planner, and after searching high and low, I purchased about 10. I don't have all of them right here, but here's 1, 2, 3, 7 of them. Went out, bought them all, researched them. And by the end of this video, I want to show you which one I like the best and why. And my hope is that I'll save you a ton of headache with this video. And yeah, so cool. And even if you don't use a planner, at the end, I'll give you one productivity hack tip that has helped me a lot in my planning and productivity as an entrepreneur. My name is Kevin Kartchner, and a year ago, I left my dad's company, my 9-to-5, my corporate job to start the Fight Against Mediocrity, where we help entrepreneurs create their own economy. All right, so here's my rub with planners. Most people, and myself included, we go out to TJ Maxx or Target, and we see all these really pretty planners, and they are very, very pretty. They look really, really nice. And you buy them, you go, you write down your goals, and then about 36 days later, studies show that most people only keep their New Year's resolutions for about 36 days. You have this really pretty planner, you write down your goals, 36 days later, you stop and you never look at it again. And the reason is because no matter how pretty the planner, it doesn't change your mindset around goal achievement. And that's really what I see the biggest problem with 99% of planners and journals out there is they don't change your mindset towards goal achievement, because ultimately, you have these goals, but spoiler alert, your goal actually isn't to accomplish the goal. Your goal is to become the type of person that can achieve and accomplish that goal. Goal achievement is actually more about becoming than achieving. One of my favorite quotes by Jim Rohn is he says, don't set the goal to become, spoiler alert, don't set the goal to have $1 million, set the goal to become a millionaire, meaning like become the person who can attract $1 million. And so New Year's resolutions are super popular, but like I said, the sad truth is people only keep them for about 36 days. That's why the gyms are packed in January, but by February, they're completely empty. And I actually remember a time when I was 7 years old. This is a really silly story, but I was 7 years old. And I remember, it's really weird, but it was 1999, December 31st, 1999. And I was sitting on my couch downstairs. Everyone was partying, drinking sparkling apple cider. We don't drink alcohol. And I remember writing down all my New Year's resolutions, and there were about 40 of them on this piece of paper. And I remember being so excited to go after these goals and achieve them I had this feeling of optimism and possibility that anything was possible. You guys know how I feel. You know how that is. And anyway, so I put it on my nightstand. I go to bed thinking, yes, tomorrow I'm going to go after all of these. And you may guess this, but I woke up, I looked at the list, and I thought, wow, that's a lot of stuff to do. That seems daunting. That's big. I'm just going to wait till tomorrow to do it. So I put it, back in the drawer to collect dust, and I never do it again. And that's because when you feel overwhelmed, you actually don't do anything, because the overwhelm just gets to you and you end up not doing anything. And if there's anything I've learned, it's that an overwhelmed mind doesn't take action. And so what I learned is that in all of these fancy planners, there are a couple of things that stood out that actually were really well put together, and there are a couple of things that weren't. The first one is, like I said, you need the correct mindset for achievement. And all of these, with the exclusion of 2, and I'll tell you which those are, all of these, they just hop right into like the goal setting. They just all hop right into, hey, what are your goals? Set your goals. Maybe 1 or 2 page of introduction, but most all of them are like, hey, what's your goal? Okay, go after it. And what I found is that we actually need to learn, like I said, goal achievement before we start working on our goals. And most goal planners, goal systems, most planners and goal setting journals don't give you a system. And that's actually all of them except for one. And I found it about 2 years ago, and it's called the Living Your Best Year Ever Planner by Darren Hardy. And what's different about this one is the first 60 pages or so is like teaching you, going through like the goal setting process with you. And that might seem like a lot, and it actually is, because every time I've done that goal setting process, it's taken me about 2 days, not like full complete days, but like on and off 2 days to get through it all and set my goals. But what changed was it actually gave me a system, but there were still some things that I didn't love about it. And so I started thinking, okay, well, if I could change it and I could create my own planner, what would I change? What would I do differently? How would I adjust it? And that kind of led me on this journey of buying all these planners and figuring out what I liked and didn't like. And there was one thing in, it's called, I think, the Finisher's Journal, that I really, really liked. And it was that there was actually 2 of them that had the same feature. It wasn't a year-long planner. It was actually a 90-day planner. And it said, okay, what's your one big goal that you have for 90 days? And we're going to help you accomplish that goal. And what I love about that is you set one, 90 days, you can't set make $1 billion kind of goal, but a relatively big goal. So they set it up so that you can accomplish that goal within 90 days. And that's one of the biggest tips I can give you guys is have a singular focus. The author of Good to Great, Jim Collins, he says, if you have more than 3 priorities, you don't have any. And Steve Jobs famously would take his team on a retreat and they would write down every idea they had for their business on a whiteboard. And then they'd whittle it down to the top 10. And then they'd whittle it down to they'd cross out everything except for 3. And they said, we're going to focus on these 3 this year. And Warren Buffett is famous for the 25-5 rule. He said, make a list of 25 things that you want to accomplish. Cross out the bottom 20 and just focus on those 5. Now, I would say focus on the 3, but he says 5, which is still a relatively small number. He says, take the list, throw the others away. And he even says what's crazy is when he throws that list away, he actually doesn't even remember what he wrote on the list and he just focuses on the top 5. So that's one of the things that's crucial is you have to have a focus. The next thing is you need to have, and I'm learning this from these journals, is you need to have like some sort of system. Because going back to when I was 7 years old, the one mistake that I made was, let's say, for example, my goals were Mount Everest, climb Mount Everest. What I did is I was at the bottom of Mount Everest and I looked up at it. I'm like, yeah, that's big. I'm going to try later. And I just walk away. And what's funny is I actually did this for 4 years straight when I had the goal of writing my book. I had the goal for 4 years to write a book. 4 years, but I never did it because it was like this Mount Everest, like up in the sky. And I looked at it and it said, I have to write it. I have to edit it. I have to come up with a cover. I have to come up with a table of contents. I have to figure out how to print it. And I said, yeah, I'm just going to start tomorrow. And tomorrow became 4 years later. But here's, wrapping all this up. Here's the one thing I did differently. So you need to have focus. And then here's what you need. You need to be consistent with small daily actions that will inevitably get you to your goal. So for example, what I finally realized is, okay, if I want to write a book, I actually don't have to do all of that. The one thing that I need to do each day is just write 500 words per day. That's it. And so for 8 months, all I focused on every morning was I just need to write 500 words a day. That's it. And some days I'd sit down at the keyboard and it would feel like my fingers were being led by angels. Like it was so easy to write. And other days I'd be like, the cursor just blinking back at me. I don't know what to write. This is really hard. But I just said, I just have to throw something down. Like I just have to get 500 words down. Tomorrow will be better. And it's the same thing if you want to lose weight. You just have to do 1 or 2 things consistently every day. It's the same thing if you want to increase your sales. You just have to do 1 or 2 things every single day consistently. And so most of these planners, they don't really do that. They give you like to-do lists. They're like, okay, write down all the to-dos you have to accomplish. And none of them really give you a good system to track what you're doing. But that was different in the Darren Hardy Journal, Living Your Best Year Ever. But like I said, there were a few things that I wanted to change in that one. And so I actually ended up creating my own planner called the Accomplish Anything Blueprint. As of right now, you can only get it inside of my program, the Fight Against Mediocrity program. I hope at some point we can release it to the public, but right now that's it. And what's cool about it is it takes you through a process, and it has you set 3 big goals for the year. And then it has you do weekly planning, and it says, okay, and I call them I goals because that's where your eyes should be focused. So you have I goal 1, 2, 3. What are the big tasks that I need to get done this week for that one? Meaning like singular tasks for that. And then down here, it says daily priorities. And this is where I would track 500 words per day. And then I check off, okay, Monday I did it, Tuesday I did it, Wednesday I didn't, Thursday I did, Friday I did, Saturday I didn't. So, and then I'd see how many I tallied up, because it's tough to lie to yourself when you actually track it. Now you're probably thinking, well, Kevin, do I need any of these journals? Yeah. I mean, if I were going to get one, I'd either get mine or Darren Hardy's. However, if you're like, I don't want to get one and I just want the top 2 tips, my top 2 tips are narrow your focus to just 3 goals, and then find out the 1 or 2 daily activities, I call them daily priorities, that you need to do in order to accomplish those. Most of these planners don't give you that. But anyways, those are trying to think if I missed anything. That's really it. Like if you can do that, there's not very much you can't accomplish. Like it'll all take time, but you can absolutely crush your year. So that's what I learned by buying about 10 planners. I found that most of them are way too complicated, and they actually don't give you the framework for goal achievement, let alone the mindset shift. So hopefully that was helpful for you. Comment below if you have a favorite planner or journal, or any questions or comments you have about this video. Hopefully it was helpful. My goal is to give tons of value to you guys. So if you have any other questions, let me know. This was a beast to create. And like I said, well, I didn't say this, but the first 76 pages are actually all about like shifting your mindset around goal achievement. So if you have questions about that, I'd love to answer them. But anyways, have a fantastic day. Catch you on the next video.